call to order. Please take your seats. Thank you. All right, first up, I just wanted to say welcome. We're getting to be a bigger and bigger crowd each month. We're really happy to see everybody coming back. I think we're almost at the point where we were at pre-pandemic days, so that's a great accomplishment that we're back here together. Also, if you'll please silence your phones if you haven't already done that. And with that, we will ask Gail to come up and welcome our speaker for today.
We have a really special guest today, Sabrina Childs from Ball Seed Company, which is a wholesaler that sells to the wholesale nursery. It is a seed company that sells to the wholesale nursery. It's going to give us a lot of information about what is new and what is working well, what may not be working so well, and give us a lot of great information. Sorry y'all, no plants today, but I do have door prizes. So stay up and ask plenty of questions.
All right, thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? Yes. Okay, perfect. So just a little bit about myself. What's that? Okay. A little bit about myself. I have been with Ball Seed Company for 17 years this year. Before coming to Ball Seed, I was a grower at a wholesale nursery for 7 years, doing ornamental shrubs, trees, perennials, annuals, ground cover, just a little bit of everything. I actually started out in propagation, so that's my first love is propagation, and probably always will be. But right now, so what I do is I have states that I cover. I cover the whole state of Arkansas, North Mississippi, West Tennessee, Eastern Oklahoma, North Louisiana, and I work with nurseries and help them decide what plants they are growing, scheduling plants, technical problems, anything to do with growing the crop. And then we're also the supplier of the seeds and the young plants that they begin their crops with. So we're helping them through every step of their production. And what I'm going to talk about today a little bit is the history of the company. How many of you have familiar with Ball? Heard of Ball Seed? Okay, several of you. Good. So over a century ago, George J. Ball started the company actually at the kitchen table, putting seed in seed packages and mailing them out. And that's how the company started over 100 years ago. We were 100 years old in 2005. So the motto that he came up with was all the best and nothing else. And we still stand by that today. It's on our catalog. And we still use that as our motto. The next generation was Carl Ball. And Carl really had more ideas of going like globally, where can we find new plants, and then really expanding things in the company and using modern techniques. And now we have our third generation owner, Anna Ball. So we're still a family-owned company after all these years. And her quote here, we're proud that thousands of our varieties are making history in the world of gardening. So we're always trying to find new things, improve things that we already have, just to help growers and to help you as the home gardener also. So as the Ball horticultural umbrella includes several smaller companies, we also have our breeders. We have breeders, I think in 23 different countries now, constantly looking for new things and trying to figure out ways they can improve what we already have. The research and development teams, and then we have the seed and vegetative producers, which we'll talk about. And then the distribution companies, which is a part of the umbrella that I'm a part of. So here's all the countries that we are actively in right now. We are the largest horticultural company in the world, as you can see. We're in several different areas. And mainly because we're in a lot of these areas, different plants grow more uniform and consistently in different climates. And that's where we need our stock to be. So there's some things that grow better in Central America, some things that grow better in European countries. So it just depends on where the latitude and the climate is where we keep a lot of our stock plants. So we're always trying to find the unique plants, things that work well in different areas. Trialing is a huge part of what we do. I have a huge trial area at my house. I live 60 miles east of Memphis, Tennessee, so right in the north part of Mississippi. So very similar climate to what you have here, very humid, very hot, and it can get really dry in the summer. So we also have trial sites at a lot of different universities, and some big growers will have trial sites that they set up for growers to come and visit. So we're always putting things out in different areas to make sure that they work. So Pan American Seed is the seed division of the company. When we say Ball Seed, that is the distribution part. That's the company that I work for. Pan American Seed is where the breeders work. That's where all the breeders are at, and they are in several, several countries. We have the main farm is in Costa Rica for Pan American Seed, so that's where a lot of the stock is held. And then we have Kiev Seed, which is the perennial seed company. And Ball Floor Plant, which is the vegetative side of the business. So vegetative, what I mean by that is anything that is produced by cutting. So lantana, verbena, sun patience, a lot of those things are produced by cuttings. So we will send unrooted little tiny tips of cuttings from our farm in Nicaragua to growers here in the United States, and that's how they start their crops. So anything produced from cuttings is under the Ball Floor Plant. And then Darwin Perennials is our global perennial company. So this is everything from bare root to tissue culture, any way that we can produce perennials. And a lot of things are going in tissue culture and perennials just so we can guarantee clean stock and not have any viruses in the perennial crops. So our Ball Premier seed line, if you ever get a chance to come up to our office, our home office is in West Chicago, Illinois. We have a huge garden there, and that's where the main office is, and also where the seed lab and all the seed storage is at. So there is a video on YouTube you can go to, just put in Ball Premier Seed Lab, and there's like a 10-minute video that will take you on a tour through the whole lab. But if you can ever get up there in person, it's definitely worth seeing. So harvesting, like I say, we have farms in Nicaragua, Costa Rica. Those are the main ones that we use here in the United States. And we're shipping things also to what we call our young plant suppliers. So these are the greenhouses in different parts of the country. The main one we use is in Denver, Colorado. And we send the unrooted cuttings and the seeds to them, and they grow them out in rooted cells with soil or in little plugs. And I'll show later what an actual plug looks like. So we have suppliers in Michigan, Florida, like Colorado, California. They're pretty much all over the country, and we distribute these little plugs and liners to the growers that are not equipped to handle the unrooted that comes in as unrooted cutting, because that you have to have a whole propagation area to be able to handle those, and not everybody has that capability, so we have options for them too. So, like I say, our Linda Vista is our farm in Costa Rica, where we do our seed production. Go back. Yeah. And then the cutting farm is in Nicaragua, and that one is fairly new. It's only been in operation for, I think, 6 years now. So one of Anna's things she does, she's always putting money back into the company. So we actually just built a new farm in Mexico for geraniums. So she's always looking to, improve the climate in the area where we need to be producing these plants. And it's great for that area too, because like the farm in Nicaragua, we employ almost 1,200 people at that farm. And there's no other option for a lot of these people other than maybe working at a cigar factory, which is not the most pleasant place to be at. So this gives the whole community a good boost, and it really helps an area when we have a farm built there. So Darwin plants, we have a farm in Holland where a lot of the bare root perennials are harvested, and they ship those over here to us. And then our distribution, like I say, we're shipping things on trucks, we're shipping things FedEx, UPS, any way we can get plants in a box and get it to a grower, we'll try to do it. So And also our consumer brands is another part. We have a whole marketing division at Ball. So programs like Wave Petunias. Wave Petunia has its own fan club. So if you're not a member of the Wave Petunia fan club, join it. You'll get free seeds and plants, and also they have a Facebook page. So yeah, check out Wave Petunias. So part of the marketing is also coming up with a lot of the signs. You'll see the pink pot. You'll see a Wave Petunia. You'll see a wave and a pink pot a lot of times. They just have that tag that you can recognize. And also the same with the Burpee Home Gardens program. So the relationship between Burpee Seeds, a lot of you remember Burpee, everybody gets the Burpee Seed catalog. So the owner of Burpee Seeds, George Ball and Anna Ball, are brother and sister. So that's the relationship there. But we really don't have, the only connection we work with them is this Burpee Home Gardens program, where we can get some exclusive varieties that are a little bit harder to get and send those out to growers, and they grow them and they put them in this white Burpee pot, so it's recognizable as a Burpee variety. And we also have a publishing company. So we have a magazine that we produce once a month called Grower Talks. And we also have what we call the Ball Red Book. And this is the complete guide for all growers. Every grower has this on their shelf at somewhere in their office or outside of the greenhouse. And we update this every so many years. And the Ball Red Book is really the guide for growing every plant from A to Z. And there's different versions of it. So a little snapshot of the gardens at Ball. So like I say, our home office is in West Chicago. We have 11 acres of gardens there. So we're always trialing new things. This is one of the main trial sites that we do have. Even though it's in West Chicago, it's north of here. Some things we can kind of go by that would work. Here's an overview of part of what the garden looks like.
Wow.
So there's some things laid out in landscape form, some things in containers, we have a shade area. We have a comparison garden. So here, 150,000 plants, 3,500 varieties, up to 11 acres now, and 115 different breeders have plants in the garden. So here's looking across to the shade containers. And then we have our comparison garden. So every year they'll choose something different. It may be vinca, maybe begonias, zinnias, and they'll have every color of every variety and every breeder's range planted in these beds so that you can see every one of them side by side.
Sabrina, we can come and see that garden?
I'm sorry?
Can we come and visit that
Yes,
garden?
yes. The garden is open year round. If you're up in that area, I'd say just call ahead a few days and let them know you're coming. And yes, the garden is open all the time. All right, so in this picture, I got one plant here that I wanted to mention. How many of you have grown Serena Angelonia? Got a few of you. So another name for that is summer snapdragon. This is one of the most heat drought tolerant plants that work here, and this is the purple and white. You see here it also comes in a rose and a pink. And also, a lot of these plants I'm talking about today are part of the Arkansas Diamonds program. So if you go into the garden center and you see some of the growers are using a blue pot, you see Arkansas Diamonds, it'll be in a blue container. But these are just plants that we have trialed for several years. We have made sure they do work well in Arkansas through all of our, through the whole summer. So when you see that promotion of the Arkansas Diamonds, just know that those have been trialed and tested. And you can guarantee they're going to work here. So red-headed coleus is one of those. Then we have the Wofford begonias. It's in the front of that canna, and then also the red and yellow canna. And the canola canna is from seed. So it's a canna that's produced from seed, so it doesn't have the viruses that some cannas can get, where they get spots and fungus on the leaves. It doesn't have any of that. And they only get about 3 feet tall. And they're not very invasive, so they're not going to take over your whole bed. You don't have to thin them out every year. So I really like that part about them. So we have different colors. Yes?
Are they deer resistant?
Not deer resistant. but Angelonia is. That Serena Angelonia, I've not had any reports of that being eaten. So.
Thank you.
So for shade areas, I really like shade plants. I wish I had more areas to put shade plants, because I really love the impatiens in the shade. This is an interspecific type, so this is a sun patient that you can also put in shade. Don't get misled just because it says sun patient on the name. Those also work in the shade and will do fine. They may get really big, as a lot of plants do when they're in the shade, just like begonias will, but they will work and they do well in the shade. And the begonia there, the Griffin begonia, is mainly just for texture and foliage. It's the plant in the middle. The underside of the leaf is a dark burgundy color. So just a great, hardy, very drought tolerant shade plant. And some of these plants have been around, like these, all these plants have been around for years. This is kind of the part where I'm talking about plants that we've had their trial, they've been tested, but we kind of forgotten about in some cases. This Gulfrina fireworks, I think, is one of those. We released this plant 10 years ago, but I just don't see it a lot anymore. And I keep, now, when I'm visiting growers, I'm kind of reminding them of these things. They're like, oh yeah, we've quit growing that a few years ago, but we need to revisit it. So this is one of those. Gets about 4 or 5 feet tall, has these pink blooms, has little yellow sparks coming out of it, so that's why it's called fireworks. Hummingbirds, butterflies love it. They love it, and it makes a great cut flower. This is one of the longest lasting cuts that I've ever had in my garden. So, Gulfrina fireworks, and then the plant behind it is a hibiscus. And we don't sell this for the bloom. It does have a little white bloom that will come out on it, but it's mainly for the foliage, because if you look at this from a distance, it looks like a Japanese maple. But it'll grow 6 feet tall in a season. So, it's not going to survive the winter, but at least you can kind of get that look and that texture through the summer. So here's some mahogany splendor in the middle of that with the Serena Angelonia. And another one of my top favorite plants is Dichondra Silver Falls. So if you have a dry spot, you have a wall, a border wall, or you have big, large containers, hanging baskets, anywhere that's going to stay really dry, because this plant does not like water. So if you have a dry spot, this Dichondra Silver Falls, it's like a ground cover, and I've got another picture here later that'll show as a ground cover. So ornamental millet, another one, underused plant. A lot of people use purple fountain grass to get this kind of look, but these millets have just a lot more texture, and they have the spiky bloom, or flower, not flower, but the top that looks like a cattail almost. There are versions of this that do not have pollen. So if you have any, sensitivity to pollen, then we have, some things that work that are pollenless. So here's that millet in the center of this bed. You can see that that's one season. That's one growing season, 6, 7 feet tall. We have shorter versions, but this big one here you get the most impact from.
If you have it in a pot, you should take it inside for the winter, right?
No. So here's the thing with the millet. It will get, once it gets root bound, it will stop growing and not grow anymore. That's why this is one plant we cannot produce in a little plug. We have to sell only the seed of this. And then we recommend planting the seed in a 1 gallon pot, like direct sow it in a 1 gallon pot. Because if it ever gets root bound, those roots touch and start to wrap, that's it. It shuts down. It won't grow anymore. So that's why in the ground, in landscape, they can get huge. They get 7 feet tall because the roots have room to expand. But in a pot, it's only going to get as big as the pot is. And
when it stops growing, though, it won't die, though.
No, it won't die. It'll just kind of sit and just be there. Yeah. So the other plant that's around this is wave petunia. And this is the tidal wave. So there's different versions of waves. And I'll show you those in just a minute. My slide got out of order here. But this was just a combination I thought was really nice. Works really well here. That's Serena Angelonia in the back and a white polka dotted vinca in the front. So 2 plants that have the same kind of, they like the same kind of conditions, so they work really well together. So tidal wave is the biggest of the wave family. And the reason it's called tidal wave is because it will grow flat until it touches something, another plant, a shrub, a fence, and then it grows straight up. And it'll actually cover up things. It'll swallow up shrubs. I've seen it do it. They're huge. They have trunks like, 3, 4 inch stalks on them when you go to pull them up. So they're very weather resistant. They're tough. But there again, this may not be the easiest one to find in the garden center, Right now, because a lot of growers, it's so aggressive, they have to put it in a bigger container. You're not gonna find this in a small pot because it would just be overgrowing it. So, but in the landscape, in pots, it's outstanding. And you hear say the silver. So it comes in several colors. I think there's 5 colors. But you can see here just how massive this plant is. A few more shade plants. This is the calm coleus. So some coleus will take full sun. So like the redhead coleus, there's one called wasabi. There's a whole series of coleus, and there's not really a name that they're under. It's just, usually if they're bigger type, if they get really tall, they usually take more sun. But these shorter growing ones, they need shade. So the calm, just be aware, there's 2 types. So the ones that take sun will also work in the shade, but the ones that work, only for shade will not work in the sun. So there's different versions of this one. When it first came out, the calm had a huge leaf. It was as big as a plate. And they were just, they were hard to handle because you couldn't even put them in the trunk of your car, you're going to break a leaf or 2 because they were just so big. So then we came out with Calm Junior, which had the same kind of leaf shape, but just a little bit smaller and easier to handle. So this plant, I know everybody probably knows, Dragonwing begonia. This is Southern Living's most written about plant. They've had more articles about Dragonwing than any other plant. This is the plant I would put at the top of my list that you can't go wrong with, because you can't put it in a bad spot. It'll take sun, shade, wet, dry, and it'll be fine. Now in the sun, it's not going to look like this. Okay, it will not look like this in full sun. The leaves will turn red, it'll turn bronzy. They don't burn, but they will turn red. So just be aware. This is the shade. This is what it looks like in the shade, but not in the sun. But it will survive and do fine. So here's the Dragonwing begonia with the dichondra silver falls. I've also used this kind of idea in a big planter. So even though that's a retaining wall, you could use the same idea in a basket or a big, large planter. And this is at the Gardens at Ball. This is one of the overhead boxes that we have. And this is tidal wave, petunia, and lantana in the top of those.
Can I back up just one thing?
Mhm.
What's the difference between angel wing and dragon wing?
So angel wing usually, so those require shade. If they're considered angel wing, they do require a good bit of shade. They'll take morning sun, but they need afternoon shade. The leaf is more pointy on the angel wing, and they usually have different colors in the leaf. So there'll be like a dark burgundy or a silver. There'll be like a pattern in the leaf. So the way you can tell it's a dragon wing is it's a solid leaf. It's more oblong shaped, and hopefully it's got a tag in it that says dragon wing. But yeah, the main thing is the sun requirements and the shape of the leaf. Okay, so 2023 new varieties. So these are some things you should be able to find around if they're still available at the Garden Center now, because we did release these last year for trialing, so now they were available this year. So we finally have an addition to the Dragonwing series, and that's a white. So Dragonwing Red has been around for probably 18 years, and it was the only color. We had a pink come out, but the pink, when it's in the sun, it turns red. So there just really wasn't enough difference between the pink and the red to say there were even 2 colors. But now we have a white. So we've been asking for that for a long time, and we finally have that now. So that's the 3 colors in the Dragonwing. And then the next one I want to talk about, you should be able to find this one because I've seen these around. This is hula begonia, and this is a true spreading begonia. So most likely you're going to see these in hanging baskets at the Garden Center. They will work in the landscape, and they'll make a nice mound and spread. But I think their best place for them to be is in a large hanging basket because they get big. They get really big. Just be aware of that. So here's our different types of begonias that we have. You can see the shape difference here. We have Dragonwing, you have megawatt, which I have had megawatts get 4 feet tall. That's just almost too big for a begonia. And then we have the hulas, which you see are really spreading. And then we have even one called baby wing, which is just a little more compact than the Dragonwing. And that one's also one that a lot of growers in Arkansas grow, is the baby wing, just because it's a little more controlled. But it comes in the same colors. And here's my side on the waves. So wave petunia has several different categories. We have the Shockwave, which is the smallest. You usually see those in hanging baskets or mixed planters because they work well with other things. Then we have the E3 Easy Wave, which is a newer improvement on the Easy Wave. So you can see it's a little tidier, not quite as moundy, but Easy Wave is very, very moundy. And the reason we want that is so that we get airflow in between around the stem so that it doesn't rot. So if you get a lot of rain, petunias that are really low to the ground will tend to rot out. So the Easy Wave, especially in the E3, they will stay up and moundy and you have airflow, which is what happens with a tidal wave. That's why they're so big. You get plenty of air, they'll never rot out. They're just too vigorous to have anything take them down. And then the original wave, which we're seeing less and less of, which will probably go away in a couple of years, that one was very flat. That was the original wave that came out in 1998, and it was purple. So if you remember the original purple wave, that was the very first one. Now we have 20-something colors of waves and a lot of mixes, and yeah, the line has really expanded. So this is the E3. So what the E stands for is efficient, evolutionary, and easy, I think is the three. But evolutionary was the main part because normally a wave petunia has to have so many hours of day length to bloom. I think it's 14 hours of day length. This one will bloom under shorter days. So most plants are triggered by when they bloom by the day length. So if you have longer days, is what triggers them to bloom. Mums are the opposite. So our mum is triggered by short days. So as the days get shorter, that's when mums start to bloom. So a lot of perennials are that way with long day and short day. Most annuals are long day plants, and petunias are one of the most sensitive to being long day and have to have those light hours. Yes.
Sabrina, do you have to deadhead those? Otherwise
You do not need to deadhead these. They are self-cleaning. They will throw those old blooms off and put new ones on. Yeah. Most all the new breeding in petunias now are self-cleaning. Now, I mean, there's some, if it comes a big rain, sometimes with petunias you can get the, you might need to clean that if it's really bad. But usually in a few days they've shed all that off and they're reblooming with new blooms. In zinnias, this is a new one. We've improved the last couple of years, and now we have a whole range of colors in this. So this is a tall garden type zinnia with huge flowers, but it's the first one that has a true purple. And that purple color is really outstanding in this. It doesn't fade at all. And so we have a whole color range now with an orange and a yellow, but then that purple really stands out. And in the mix, we have all the colors. So Ballflora plant, remember I told you this is a vegetative part of the company. So these are the varieties that are done from cuttings. This is a new coleus called Trailblazer, and this one is Glory Road. This is Trailblazer is a series, so it's a trailing coleus. You'll see these in mixed baskets. I've seen some out in garden centers already this spring. I've seen some mixed with geraniums and have this as the bottom and a geranium in the middle. But they're very vigorous. They will take a good bit of sun. I had mine in full sun. It got a little bit of burn because it probably got dry more than sun, but if it's taken care of and watered well, it'll do fine in full sun. And this is the other color called Road Trip. So in Cupia, we have two new ones called Cherry Bells and Sugar Bells. So Cupia is the hummingbird, we call this the hummingbird magnet. These are the plants they go for first. We had one come out a few years ago called Honey Bells, and it's in this mix here called the Mix Master. So we have 3 different types now of these Cupia, and they're really spreading. I grow some in hanging baskets myself every year, and they'll just cascade over, and it's like having a hummingbird feeder up all the time because they will just be swarming on it. And then in petunias, a couple of years ago, we launched this new series called Color Rush that has just been outstanding. And it has performed so well here that it's probably the #1 petunia that we have right now. And we keep adding new colors. So we have Pink Star, and then here's the whole range we have now. The pink is probably I would say the toughest. I've had it go, I've not watered it at all for the summer, and it's come back from being nothing there, and it revives itself. So that one is really tough. But all of these are really good, and you can't not go wrong with any of these colors. And they weren't real mixed together. So if you like mixing colors together, you can mix any of the Color Rush together, and they'll work really good. So Salvia Blue Chill, this one's new this year. This is one I put out in an area we were talking about earlier. It's came back, and we don't promote this as a perennial, but it is coming back from the bottom this year. So some salvias will sometimes do that. This one we are just promoting as an annual, but it gives you great height in a bed, and that icy blue color is really hard to get. There's not many annuals that have that color. So we do this program we call Mix Masters, and what it is where we've trialed different plants together, and we've made sure they all work, they're all compatible, they all play along well together, and then we'll name it a name. So this one's called Berry Tones. And when a grower sees this, if they want this mix, they'll order it as Berry Tones or Hot Spell. So it makes it easier for us, and we actually sell these as a rooted liner where all 3 plants are in one little cell. So they can plant that, and then it makes this combination, or they can do it unrooted cuttings and make it this combination themselves. But at least it's been trialed, and we know that they work together. This is one of my favorite ones here. So it's, putting colors together, but also habits of plant together to make sure that they're compatible. And this one too, this is a great summer combination. This is something you could do yourself even. I mean, you can find the Cupia Honeybells, Angelonia, and a Lantana, and then you've got this combination. And then I said the Cannas, this one is from Seed. This was a new color for this year called Red Golden Flame. So some of them have bronze leaf, some have green, so you'll see different leaf colors. And we have, I think, 8 different colors now in the Cannas. And just real quick, a few perennials that have been doing really well. This is a Buddleia chrysalis. So it's a compact Buddleia, not the big shrub one that we're used to. It gets really, really big. This will only get about 2 feet across. So if you've got a container you want to put a butterfly bush in, or just a small area, this chrysalis will work really, really well in that kind of area. It is downy mildew resistant, so that is one of the other key things about it. So that's one of the things the breeders are working on. So where they're working on improvement things, they're trying to build, especially downy mildew resistance into plants, so we don't have that taken over. And this is probably one of my favorite new introductions the last couple of years in perennials. This is Uptick Coreopsis. Should be easy to find. Most garden centers should have this. It comes in a couple of colors. This one's probably my favorite one. There is a solid yellow one. There's a lighter, like a lemon yellow and red. And there is a solid red one now too. So this is a day neutral plant. So that means this will bloom in the winter if it's in a spot where it's getting a little bit of sunshine and warm. If it's on the south side of a building, February it's going to start blooming. So it was the very first day neutral Coreopsis ever. So it'll bloom till, it just keeps blooming year round. I mean, it doesn't ever stop once it starts. And then phlox, another one that is really prone to downy mildew or powdery mildew. It gets a whole bunch of different diseases. They really bred this in resistance into this one, and I've had this one for like 4 years. Yeah, it'll be the 4th year now, and it's coming back up. It looks great. It took the cold this winter, no problem. But the foliage stays really clean on it, and there's several different colors that you can get this kapow phlox in. And then Echinacea sombrero. So we were talking about the way perennials are produced. One of those ways is tissue culture in a lab. So what they'll do is they'll take a little bit of the stem, put that in a petri dish, make sure there's no virus in it. The virus looks cloudy. When it's in a dish, it looks cloudy, so they discard those. And they'll keep the clean ones, and we send those to the greenhouse to be propagated and then produced from there. So that's how all these sombrero echinaceas came about. So they're virus-free, and we have a lot of vibrant colors in echinacea. We're not just purple and white anymore in coneflowers. So you can get red, yellows, and oranges. And this is also a crop that you might see in the fall, because some growers will plant this in summer and have it for a fall. And they work great planting these in the fall. You can definitely plant these in the same time you plant your pansies in the fall, and they would do fine. And a grass that I just want to mention, this is called bandwidth, and I've had this for a couple of years too. It only get about 3 feet tall. It doesn't take over. You have to go in and thin it out or anything. And it works really well in mixed containers with different things to give you a little bit more of a different texture. All right, so we've talked about a whole bunch of different plants and all the ways they're produced, but where did that plant actually come from? All these things we've talked about. So you probably got your plants at the garden center. Well, that garden center got their plant from a large wholesale grower. The one here locally is Reynolds. You're familiar with Reynolds greenhouse. So they grow hundreds and hundreds of one thing in big blocks. So where you see just a few flats in the garden center, they have hundreds of one thing. So where did that wholesale grower like Reynolds get those plants from? Well, they probably grew it from a plug. So a plug, this amount of soil is the size of a thimble. There's 288 of these plants in one tray. So they're tiny little baby plants. There's over 1 million plants on this picture you're seeing here.
Oh, wow.
On this table. This is at our facility in Colorado. This is in Denver. And the reason this is our #1 facility is because they are a mile high. Denver's a mile high elevation. So they're closer to the sun, so they get higher light intensity. So they can grow better plugs. And if you look at the number of sunny days, I mean, it gets cold in Colorado. I mean, right, it gets cold there, and they have some snow, but if you look at the number of sunny days, it's way above average than anywhere else in the country.
Wow.
So that's one of the main reasons we have plugs there. So, like I say, the wholesale grower gets their plants from a plug grower, let's say Tagawa in Colorado, and we deliver once a week. We have semi-trucks. This couple weeks ago, we had 30-something trucks on the road, and we deliver only minimum. I think the minimum to get on a truck is 60 trays. So 60 of those little plug trays, and we'll come to your greenhouse and we'll drop you a rack there with all your plants on it. For smaller quantities, we have boxes. So we have a box with shelves in it that will hold 5 trays. So we can put 5 of those little trays inside of a box, put nets over them, and it's all, hopefully, cross our fingers, that they get to where they're supposed to go on time and in decent shape. So we try to deliver by truck when we can, but a lot of times orders go FedEx, and 80% of the time there's no problem. A lot of times they're laid over on their side and have to be put back together. But all right, so where did that plug come from? Like, how did they make all those millions of plugs? Well, they sewed them in these trays from these seed. So you can see the seed here in that little hopper up there. That's a vacuum attached to that silver cylinder there. It's a vacuum. It's picking up the seed for every hole and dropping it in every cell of that tray, 288 of them in that one tray. And they're running through fast. I mean, they're not just like slowly going through. They're running these things, they're really fast. And at Tagawa, they have 6 seeding lines. So at one time, during their peak sowing, they'll have all 6 lines going, running these trays through. So it's really important the person keeping up with the seed of what seed is in the hopper get put in the tray. Because when plants, and I'll show you in a little bit, when plants are in that form, there's no way to know what is what. So there we go. Where did that seed come from? Well, it came from our farm in Costa Rica. This surrounded a tropical rainforest, accessible only by zip line. I'll have to go back and I'll show you that. That's me on the zip line there. And surrounded by alligators, and inside are all these workers working on producing seed for the next 2 years. So it's not that secure, literally, but it is pretty secure, because you have to realize the whole world's supply of seed for all these plants are at this farm. So they do have guards. If you've ever been to Costa Rica, it's kind of a common thing to have guards at places. And they do have guards here, and it's surrounded by fencing. But yeah, it's a really, like this farm, just this farm employs almost 2,000 people. And we have doctors there for people. I mean, it's like the whole community, this is what they do. And we have, a lot of them ride their bicycles to work. So we have a whole covered area where they park their bicycles in during the day, and have buses that go around and bring people to work. So it's just a really nice community. And it really gives these people an opportunity to do something other than, like, say, cigar factories or other things that are not as pleasant as this. So what the workers do inside the farm, these ladies here, they are pollinating impatiens. So how many of you knew there was a difference if there was a male and female flower. If you ever look close enough to tell the difference, impatiens are a good one you can really tell the difference on a male and female flower. Now they're all on the same plant, so it's not like this plant's male, this plant's female. They're all the same plant. So what the workers have to do on impatiens is they take every male flower and touch it to every female flower by hand. So, and impatiens are one of the easier ones to do because they're bigger and you can actually see what you're doing. Some crops like Angelonia, the flowers are so tiny and the pollen's so small down in there, they take tiny little vacuums, like a little pencil with a vacuum attached to it, and they suction out the pollen, and then they take little paintbrushes, little tiny paintbrushes, and they pollinate with paintbrushes onto everywhere. It's all done by hand. So, yes,
So you said there's a male and a female
flower.
one on the same plant?
Yes. Yep. Some plants are open pollinated. So when you hear open pollinated, like salvias, we let bees do the work. So the bees are pollinating for us. But in a crop like impatiens, and to get a certain color, sometimes they'll take the male flower from another house on a different color, pollinate it with this color, and then you get something different. So that's where the breeders come in. So here's a lady, she's holding one of the little vials of pollen there. But when you go into these houses, you have to wear, you have to keep your hair back, you have to wear aprons. You have a little bottle, if you see hers, mine on the other one, you have a little bottle of alcohol hanging on your apron, and every 10 minutes you have to stop and sanitize. Your hands, your knives, whatever you're using, you have to stop and sanitize. And there's a little, like a beep that'll go off if you're not listening for it, but I mean, the workers know. I mean, they hear it and they stop, sanitize, and go back to work. So we just don't want anything crossing, from one plant to the other. And workers have a certain area they work in usually. So they'll have, so they're trained on impatiens. They may be trained in impatiens and petunias, and that's their two crops that they work in. And they have foot baths, and I mean, it's all, it's very clean when you go into these houses. So this is the stock plant for dichondra. So this is how long the dichondra will get. Well, it'll get about half this long in a season. If you planted it now, it'll get about 6 feet long by the end of summer. So, or 6 feet across. So for this, they have a net underneath, and they go through and they shake the plants. The seed falls down, they roll the net up, and get the seed that way. So on an impatient, and I'm showing this one because it's the easiest one to see, once the flower's been pollinated, it forms this seed capsule. So inside that little pod are all the seeds, and impatiens produce tons of seed. So when you're walking down the benches, seed are popping, there's seed going everywhere. But it has to be harvested at just the right time. So just when that angle is at that certain angle there, and the grooves in the pod are just right, that's when it has to be harvested.
So do they take that and have like a little test tube or something? Because
Yep.
those suckers,
Yep.
you barely touch them.
So yeah, so they've got them in this
explode.
little cup, so they'll put them in the little cup. You see the seed have exploded around the side there. So from there, it goes to the seed cleaning room, and everything is bagged and with a barcode and a balloon. So like I say, once seed is harvested, there's no way to know what it even is a lot of times. You can't tell petunia from a begonia seed. Well, begonia seed and petunia are really small, so those are the tiniest seed. Here's a little fun fact. An ounce of begonia seed is worth more than an ounce of gold. So, yeah. Because there's so many begonia seed, and an ounce of begonia seed is hundreds of thousands of begonias in an ounce, because the seed is like dust. So one of the processes we do, once this is harvested and then it's shipped to our West Chicago office, is we pellet that seed. And if you look at that video on the seed lab, you'll see that process where they do that. And they put these seed in like a big drum. It actually came from a chocolate factory where they do chocolate covered things. So we put the seed in there and they spray it with this blue kind of material and then a yellow powder, and it coats every seed. So when the growers get it, they can actually, you can actually see the seed, and it's not just like little flecks of dust. So it builds it up and makes it bigger.
Is
Yeah.
it true that pelletized seeds they're only good for one season?
Normally so, yes. Pelleted seed does not have the shelf life as raw seed. That is correct, yes. So once the seed is harvested, it's clean, it's bagged, it's tagged, it's put in these huge bulk bags and put on a plane and shipped to our office in West Chicago. And we have a seed receiving room where there'll be huge bags of seed come in. And then from there, we test it again. So we sow every seed in a tray, put it in a germination chamber, make sure the quality is where, germination is where it should be. We post the germination percentage on every one of our seed packs. So when you get a seed lot, this is 90% germ, this is 95% germ. So you're going to get a good stand. So this is one of the seed pictures of one of the seed rooms. Another little fact about the seed rooms at Ball. So because if, say, we had a fire and the sprinklers went off, that would not be a good thing for millions of dollars worth of seed in a seed room. So what happens in those vaults is if the fire alarm goes off, you have just a minute to get out because the oxygen is sucked out of the room instantly. That's the fire suppression system, not sprinklers. So yeah, you got just a minute to get out of there. I've never had that happen while I've been there, but. So this is the farm in Nicaragua. We also have a video of this farm, so you can take a look at that when you get a chance. Like I say, it's a fairly new farm. It's 70 acres. And then we have 30 acres right now, all under one greenhouse. So 30 acres under one roof. Wow. And once you get inside, you're inside. The workers are inside for the day. There's no coming or going. They have break rooms in different areas, but there's no leaving and going back or anything. And they have to, and some petunias and calibrachoa, they're really sensitive to getting viruses. Those workers actually have a shower room where they have to go in the morning, shower, put on their lab uniform, and go into the greenhouse. So it's very, very sanitary. All right, and we do all this so you can get a 3-pack for 99 cents. Well, they're a little bit more now probably, but still, it's a lot that goes into it. A lot of planning. We're planning for next spring. So, so here's just a recap. You got your plant at the garden center. You got it from a wholesale grower who grew it from plugs, that little thimble-sized plant. Who got it from a plug grower who was many states away that came in on a truck or FedEx. And that seed that grew the plug came from a farm in Costa Rica. So right now they're working on next year's plants for 24 and 25. So we'll have all that seed coming in the next few weeks and started testing and then have it all put on the shelf and ready to start selling this fall for next year. All right, and then I've got a couple of our websites here. So you can go to ballhort.com. It'll link you to everything we have. All the varieties I've talked about are listed there, plus many more. You can get height, spread, anything, you need to know sunshade about a plant. You can find it on this website. And also I put on here, if you need to look up what the Arkansas Diamonds plants are that are recommended here, here is that, you could probably just put Arkansas Diamonds, Google that, and it'll take you to this web page. And we're doing trials. We've already got the trial plants sent, so we'll have, I think we have 40 or so different trial sites in the state this year for doing plants that we'll consider for Arkansas Diamonds next year. And then here's my email. If anybody has any questions, if you think later, or just need to know about a plant you couldn't remember about, just shoot me an email, and we'll get back with you. And thank y'all for having me. I always love coming. Is there any other questions? Yes.
So where do you live?
I live in Ripley, Mississippi. Like I say, close to Tupelo, Mississippi, just south of the Tennessee line. Yeah, I was born and raised there.
And your comment on the pellets on mastering season?
Yeah, pelleted seed usually are only good for a season. When we coat that seed, it actually affects the germination of the seed. You'll still get some come up, but not as good as it would be. Yeah. Yes.
Do you mind showing the slide where you had the Angelonia and the Silver Falls?
Oh, sure. Let's see if I can find that. This one? Oh, okay. Yes, in the back. The millet is sterile. Yeah. Oh, she would ask if the millet seed could be harvested and resown. That ornamental millet, and all those seed are sterile. So, yeah, they have mother plants that they produce from, and then they cross them, and then once after that, they don't produce anymore. Yes.
So if we found a plant that we really wanted that we couldn't find anywhere near here, did you sell all of them? Can we get anything from you guys that we can give all of you guys?
If there's something you can't find, where do you usually get your plants from? Like, where would you buy your plant from?
Every place that there's a place.
I mean, just ask them. I would say first, just ask them if they can get it. Because a lot of times, like Reynolds may have this big availability of list of things they're growing, which is a lot of things, all the things I showed you. But then that garden center might not have it, but they can get it for you. So I would just ask them first, and then if you can't find, if you just absolutely can't find it, send me an email with what you're looking for, and I may be able to tell you where it's at that you can get it. Yes.
You know, the city of Chicago partners with your company?
Yes, the city of Chicago does partner with us. So all the plants downtown. Yes, yes. And Anna Ball is on board of the thing downtown where they do all the planting, so yes.
Sabrina, I know some companies will sell plugs too. Do you have to be a wholesaler to be able to get the plugs?
No. So her question is, do you have to have a wholesaler to get plugs? No, you do not. We have a division of our company called Color Link that is for master gardener groups, it's for schools, community gardens, anybody that doesn't need a whole lot of one thing. Because the thing with the wholesaler, you get thousands of one thing. So they have higher minimums if they go through the Ball channel. But through Color Link, which is still in the Ball office, it's just what we call our small, division where you can get smaller. There's no minimums through them. So yeah, just contact the office, ask for anybody in Color Link, and they can help you out for sure. Yeah, because we have something. I mean, through Color Link, you could get one tray. They would send one tray to you.
How many did you say is in a tray?
Most of the plug trays are 288 plants in a tray. If it's done from a cutting of like lantana, verbena, those kind of things, those come in trays of 100. So those are a bigger size because it's a cutting getting stuck in there, not seeds. So they're 100 to a tray. Anybody else? All right.
Thank you, and I know you all enjoyed it because we had so many questions. We have some door prizes, and they are going to the people who ask questions today. So, exactly the right amount, too. I need for these 8 people to stay after the meeting and pick out their door prize. It'll be Claudette, Marianne Jarvis, Terry Jo Gray, Joan Lambert, F.T. Ear, Jennifer Blankenship, Tina Packus, and Cindy Hart.
All right. Again, thank you, Sabrina. That was a great presentation. I just think we all learned an awful lot there. So now we're ready to move on to our business part of the meeting. So first up is our secretary, Elaine, with the minutes.
Can you hear me? Yes. You have seen all the minutes that I have finished, the minutes from this meeting, the board minutes, and the next two executive meetings will all be published in the June newsletter that comes out prior to our June meeting, since we're not having a meeting next month. We have received, Luke gave me these wonderful thank you notes that we've received. One is from Teddy, the boy we helped buy the seeds from. And he said, I want to share my appreciation with you and the Master Gardeners for helping with my Eagle project. You want to see me? Okay. You were instrumental in helping me purchase the seed for my projects. And I am even more grateful you volunteered for a work day. Thank you so much for your, can't read that word, contributions that made my project a reality. Sincerely, Teddy. And we received a thank you note close to my heart to Diane Harden of the Scholarship Committee. I would personally like to thank you and the Garland County Master Gardeners for awarding me the Jean Licklider Memorial Scholarship. I felt deeply honored to be elected to receive such a prestigious, and he spelled it correctly, scholarship, which was named after a man whom all thought so highly of. As I am continuing to attend National Park College to pursue my dream in wildlife and conservation biology, I will continue to remember the Master Gardeners' kindness to me and all that they have done for me. Sincerely, Aaron Humphrey. We had a thank you for a donation from Garland Gardens for in memory of Carolyn Harris. They sent a thank you note. We got an awards letter from County 76 where our Hot Springs Village received a grant of $750 to do projects up there. We got that award letter. And last but not least, we got a wonderful note from the Caring Place. On behalf of the Board of Directors, staff, and participants of the Caring Place, I want to extend my appreciation to the Master Gardeners for the Excellence in Education Award. We are thrilled and feel so blessed to be included in this acknowledgement. The participants of the Caring Place have received such a tremendous blessing from the hours and hours of hard work and dedication contributed by the many Master Gardeners that have given of themselves in so many ways. As much or more than hard work that was contributed, the blessing of their love for one of the most vulnerable groups in our society exemplifies the true caring spirit of this wonderful group. And that's it. I'll pass it on.
I'm standing. All right, I'm Denise, your treasurer, and the report went out, actually 2 reports. If you have any questions, let me know. I will read off to you what I do know. So our income last month, so we're talking about March, we're not in April yet. So our income last month was, so people paid for their lunch, for the March luncheon, and there were a few dues, so $290 for the income. And then, of course, there were some expenses that went out, that you can look at those. So in our Diamond bank account, we have $37,017.15. Our depository account, we had some income from cookbook sales yet, and we helped pay for the new Master Gardener binders. So in that particular account, there is $6,920.55. So our total cash funds is $43,937.70. And wouldn't we all like to go shopping with that? Yeah. So several of you have brought me disbursements for reimbursements, the sheets, and I appreciate that. And I went ahead and wrote out the checks today. So I have actually run out of checks. So if you're trying to look for me now, I'm sorry, I don't have any more checks. So, and also, so I was going to give the checkbook to Sherry, but sorry. So I'm getting ready to go on vacation tomorrow. So if you have some reimbursements that you need, if you go ahead and mail those to me, then I will write those checks out as soon as I get back, which will be May. So I'm sorry if that offends anybody, and you can't come on vacation with me because we're already booked. But if you do have an emergency, whatever that might look like, I'm not sure. Sherry probably will get the phone call. But anyway, so that is that. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Susie, the second vice president. Today we had 126 members here, and we have 5 guests. If I call your name, please stand so we can recognize you. Leanne Davis. Rayleigh Epperhart. Jenny Weckelman. John Davis. John Norman.
Gail McClure, first vice president. I wanted to recognize a couple of projects this month. I try to visit as many of these as I can, but there are 2 right now that have been really, really hard at work, and I want all of us to give a round of applause both for the plant sale, garden show committee, and for the garden tour, which is finalizing all the work. These 2 committees have just gone above and beyond as far as the workload they carry. So thank you. I also wanted to mention for project chairs, if you missed the board meeting or if you are a co-chair maybe and you were not at the board meeting, the evaluation reports will be online this year. It will be done electronically. If any of you have trouble doing a fillable PDF, it'll be a fillable PDF form link that we will send to you. If you have trouble opening it or completing it, please get in touch with me. I can either help you with that link. I can bring my laptop to the June meeting. These are due in July. So I can bring my laptop to the June meeting, or I can sit with you. We'll do a paper one, but I need to do it either over the phone or with you in person because I can't always read everyone's writing. So that's one of the reasons we have gone to a fillable online form. But if you have trouble, let me know, and I'll be happy to work with you on that. Thank you.
Jody Duke, your past president. The mentors and the first-year Master Gardeners are getting along fabulously. We just had a meeting a week ago today, and I want to just thank Claudette and Diane Harden and Donna Woodard. They provided answers to every single question, and I think they got an enthusiastic response from our first-year Master Gardeners. So I'm excited to see our first-year Master Gardeners at their very first plant sale at the end of this month. Our next meeting will be in July. We're going to do annuals to perennials, and that'll be an evening session, so more information to follow on that. But in the meantime, we're all about the plant sale and getting out there and gardening. So that's kind of the fun part of being a Master Gardener. I'm also working on CART. You haven't heard much about that because I really want you to focus on the plant sale. But there'll be 4 committees that we're just taking a look at. No stress. Members of the committee will just come out and visit with you, and we'll just kind of talk to you about your project, how things are going, and get to know your sponsor a little bit. So kind of no stress environment, but just a chance to have that conversation. So more to follow on that. But in the meantime, go out there and make things grow.
Oh, you can stop louder than that. On top of the mentoring, I'm having new first-year Master Gardeners shadow me, which I'm loving that. We've had 4 sessions so far, so I'm having a lot of fun. I hope they are too. I hope I'm not boring them too much. Those out there, I think you had a good time, yeah. The majority of my calls right now have been the plant damage from the winter freezes that we've had. So all of our azaleas, camellias, gardenias, they just really look rough right now. Show patience toward them. I started noticing this last week. The azaleas are starting to bud out a little bit better. So just a little more patience before you prune those. On demonstrations, we're going to be doing a demonstration on pumpkins this year. So I just got that from the state office, so that's going to be fun. We're going to have 3 different varieties of jack-o'-lanterns, a tan color, an orange, and a white. There's going to be 5 plants of each. So I don't know, we may all get together and kind of carve pumpkins at the end of the year and do something fun with that maybe. And then of course we're going to be doing the Arkansas Diamond Trial as well. We're supposed to be getting those in mid-May. So I got word yesterday that around the 12th we should be getting those and starting those. So that's it. Yes.
Where will that be held?
So the Arkansas Diamond Trial, we're going to be doing one at the courthouse, at the square garden around the rose bush, the yellow rose there. And then the other one's going to be out at our detention center greenhouse. Mainly so that I can be close to the courthouse one, and then we've got people out at the greenhouse constantly to keep an eye on those.
Need wagons, and I know you all have them, so you can bring them on Wednesday or Thursday, and we can bring those to the right side or the left side of the horticulture building. And you as individual Master Gardeners can bring your plants only on Thursday from 10 to 2. If you're bringing some things to the Trash to Treasures, if you don't want to make a second trip, we will go ahead and accept plants, but we would like to try and get them all on Thursday because we're going to have both greenhouses unloaded in the morning. We have 43 really cool vendors this year, and just to give you an idea, we've made over $14,000 just on the vendors and 3 sponsors that we've gotten. Trash to Treasures will be open Wednesday 9 to noon and also Thursday 9 to noon. Tuesday and Wednesday, you as Master Gardeners, if you're coming to help, you can park near the buildings. You can park near the buildings at the fairgrounds. However, Thursday through Saturday, if you're delivering plants, drive in, come to the horticulture building, and drive right into the horticulture building, and you will drive out and then make a left, and there's a gate that will be open in the back that you can exit through. And if you're coming, because a couple people said, well, Claudette, there was a lot of traffic trying to get in on Friday and Saturday, go past the entrance to the fairgrounds and turn left on Lonesdale. That will take you all the way down to the far gate. That will be open. It will take you around to the back of the fairgrounds, and you can park right there behind the Derby building where the Master Gardeners are going to be parking, because none of the Master Gardeners are parking in on the fairgrounds Friday and or Saturday. And let's see here. Silent auction. We knew this year we have 2 great silent auctions with 10 items each. Please make sure to wear your name badges. And let's see, I told you about Lonesdale. And we still have openings, so if you haven't signed up, Donna, stand up for a quick second. There she is. She will be in the back after the meeting. So if you want to sign up for something, or if you know a Master Gardener that hasn't signed up, tell them to come on down and we will put them to work at the plant sale. So oh God, 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Can you believe it? Any questions from anybody? Wait a minute, I didn't hear that. Did somebody say something?
I said I'm proud of you.
Oh, yeah! From one who is very long-winded, just like me. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and just remember to have a good time next week. You know, this is our big project where we all come together as a team to work together, and it's amazing what we have done. Even though I heard, and I've had a couple people admit, when I first proposed this, they all thought I was crazy. Well, here we are 6 years down the road, and we're kicking serious butt, so I want to thank you all for everything that you do. Thanks so much.
So I don't need a timer, but I do have a little announcement. So at the stage area of the expo, we have been loaned some beautiful baskets from Lake Hamilton Nursery, Lake Hamilton Garden Center on Southmore Road. And so just for Master Gardeners, we're going to be selling those baskets. They're only going to be 12, and it's first come, first serve. We really don't know what we're getting. We think we're going to be getting about $30 price baskets, but these things are beautiful. We stopped by Kroger today, and a little piddly basket was $27. So anyway, come to the stage area. They will be on sale after 3 o'clock on Saturday. But it's first come, first serve, so everybody be nice to everybody. Thank you.
All right, up next, our May Garden Tour, Carolyn Davis. And again, this is the last shot because it's happening next month. So if you have questions, now's the time.
Good evening. The ladies are passing out our maps that everyone will get a map. And on the map this year we have a QR code along with the written directions. Jennifer, if you will come and explain to them how to use their QR code, please. The other Jennifer.
So if you have an iPhone, I can help you get on this. If you do not, if you have an Android, you may have to ask somebody else to help you. Oh, if you have an Android, you may have to get somebody else to help you. I know with an iPhone, if you scan the QR, you go to your photo, just your photos where you would take a picture, and you hold it over the QR code, it'll pop up a little yellow floating box, and then you tap on that yellow box, that will open the PDF file. Once it opens, it has a link to each of these addresses that will open a map and show you how to get to each of the places. Once you open that PDF file, at the very bottom, there's a little square box with an arrow that points up. If you want to add that to your home screen, you click on that little arrow, and then you scroll down, it'll say add to home screen. If you click that, it will add a little icon that's red and looks like that Adobe symbol. And you just click add, it'll add that little box. And then later, when you need to pull this up, it looks like an app on your phone, and all you do is click that box, and it pulls up exactly what this pulled up by scanning. So if you lose your paper, you still have it on your phone for reference. When you're finished with it, you can just hold that little app thing and delete it, and then it'll be off your home screen. So that's a way to keep up with it if you happen to misplace your paper. That way you don't lose your maps.
Look, you want to do the Android or?
I don't know how. I don't have an iPhone.
You have an iPhone,
I
okay.
think if you do have an Android, I know we tried with one Android phone, we had to download a reader, like a QR code reader app, and then that would bring up that would open it. So you may have to download an extra QR reader app if you have an Android.
Thank you, Jennifer. If you'll look at the bottom, there are explicit directions that will take you from house to house. And for those of you that would like to, you can start at the end of the tour and work back so that we don't have everyone at the first 2 houses. You will be going to 5 houses. There will be 2 in Lotus Valley. There will be 2 in Arbor Gate. And then 1 will be on Starboard Circle, our Martha's house. We will have plants listed. As you go through, we will have hostess there that will tell you, send you in the right direction where the gardens are to see. And remember, these people are doing as much as they can, but they got hit with the cold and the weather, and we have some azaleas that are just now starting to come out at beautiful yards, but like everyone else, we're all fighting that problem, trying to get them fixed. And they're working very hard for y'all to be able to tour. I want to say a special thank you to all that's worked with us on the tour, on the plant identification, and all the little trips we've had to make. Whenever you are there, if you can carpool, it would be wonderful because the streets in Arbor Gate, they're very, very short. So if you can carpool, that would be a big help. But whenever you park, be sure we don't block any driveway and that we show that we're good neighbors to them. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Is this something for Master Gardeners or do we bring friends?
You can bring a friend. Yes, ma'am.
Are these homes Master Gardeners or just anyone?
No, they're not. One home is a Master Gardener. The other 4, the ones in Lotus Valley and Arbor Gate, but all 4 of these houses has been Yard of the Month in the past. Teresa?
You have that the final stop is the Energy Park Pavilion.
Yeah.
We'll actually be there the whole time.
Right.
Instead of with refreshments.
Okay. For those, we will have our sign-up sheets for doing the tour, and refreshments will all be at Energy Park, the Waterfall Pavilion.
That is correct.
Okay, and there will also be bathroom facilities available. So if you want to start at that end and work your way back, great. If you want to start at the beginning and end, just however that is convenient for you to do, they'll both be available. Tour will go from 10 till 2 p.m. Thank you, and we'll look forward to seeing you. Okay, next up we have our 2024 State Convention Committee, and Tricia's going to give us an update on that. Yay, Trish!
I've got extra things for you to do.
10 minutes.
So, in June, at the next conference in Russellville, at the very last day, anyway, we will announce that the next conference in 2024 is in Hot Springs. And we are going to run this video, and as the video is going, we will have people walking across, like when it talks about the bathhouses, we'll have someone in a very skimpy outfit to show that they're bathers. And I believe that's going to be Susan Koenig doing that. But anyway, you know, we will have a baseball player. You know, the St. Patrick's Day parade, you know, there's going to be a leprechaun or Anyway, it's fun, and if you want to participate, please let Elaine Sichter know, because we can use all the people there. So, the logo reflects that we make the baskets, and Hot Springs is, I won't say famous for the baskets, but every summer it has those beautiful baskets that we did.
All right, now we're on to our new business, and this we're doing the Years of Service Awards. So Debbie and Heidi are going to hand out the awards. So when they call your name, please come forward. Hold up, Debbie. Let me get
Debbie, push it, hold.
Hello. Okay, this is for the Years of Service Awards. Is it working? Yes. Okay. We're going to start off with, we have 5 years, 10 years, and then from the state level, you get recognized for 15 years of service. And then beyond that, once you get to a life member, if you contribute, after 15 years, you don't have to contribute any hours at all after that. But if you do 10 hours of service every year after your 15 years, you get a credit for that year. So then we start keeping track every 5 years after that. So then, after 15 years, you can be recognized for a 20-year life member or a 25-year life member. So that's how we keep up with it in 5-year increments. Okay, so to start with, for 5 years of service, this is going in and out. 5 years of service, Dwight Bailey. Betty Fair. Terry Jo Gray. Rachel Houston. She isn't here. Barry Horner. Judy Nowak. Tina Packus. Joyce Pardusky. Pamela Stevens. Debbie Tripp. Cheryl Volpert. Mary Wittenberg.
Are we showing our pins or are we?
Yes,
Sure.
Okay, now for 10 years of service, we're going to start with Claudette Cooper. Laura Young. Marty Lynch. Henrietta Norman. Julia Milano. Deanna Rogers. Ross Sedler. And Sharon Seal. Ross? Henrietta? Henrietta, yes. I have it redone. It's the wrong color. It's supposed to be white. Hello?
Do you mind having Caroline's,
No, but you get with us. We don't have it on, well, did you miss a year ago? What's your best or something like that? You got to go 3 years? You're going to announce stuff. Okay, now for our 15 years of service. These are lifetime members now. They completed 15 years. Stephanie Ballard. And the badges for them, we do not get those until after the state convention, so we will award them their badge later, but we're recognizing their service right now. Margaret Bird. Judy Fields. Jay Harper. And Mary Ann Schnipper. Oh. Yes, Lynn. Lynn Johnson. Lynn Johnson.
she was in my class, so I know.
Was she in the kitchen? Was she in the kitchen? She was.
So take the picture.
Yes, take the picture. We'll get it. We'll add her on. We'll take a picture of her in the kitchen. And pose her picture. And for 20 years of service, we don't give another badge. What we're doing now, we're having a pin that shows the 20 or the 25, so you add a little pin to your badge. And we have a member that has served 20 years now of service, and that's Sharon Bennett.
All right, we have one more item of business. Karen Grisham brought an idea to the executive committee early this month, and her proposal is that we have a float in the St. Patrick's Day Parade next year, as that's just 1 month before our plant sale, so it would be great publicity and help rev up the excitement, hopefully. So Karen's going to tell you a little bit about her idea.
from that.
Get close.
Teach your voice.
Teach your voice, yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. According to Visit Hot Springs, beginning in 2003, there were approximately 4,000 visitors that came to celebrate St. Patrick's Day in the shortest St. Patrick's Day parade on Bridge Street downtown. In 2023, an estimated 40,000, that's 40, visitors came to Hot Springs to celebrate that. Many of us here have participated and or attended this parade over the years. Many of us have actually been in the parade as late as this year, promoting other activities, organizations such as the YMCA, Garland Gardens, or many other nonprofits. It occurred to me as I was looking at pictures of the parade that our plant sale is a little over 1 month after the parade. Why not promote our organization's plant sale? This is an opportunity we cannot afford to miss any longer. With the upcoming chaos of the plant sale and next year's state convention coming in 2024, I'll bet you're wondering how on earth can we even be thinking about one more thing right now. Here is the reason I am bringing this up at this time. As it is a short parade, there's only room for 40 floats, and people are trying to get those spots. To be approved by the parade committee, we have to fill out an application regarding our charitable organization's status, the measurements of our float, how many people, and the theme of the float entry. Find my spot. I've been speaking with Alexis Hemp, who is the head of the parade, and they are very excited about our participation and have already given us special consideration and exceptions with the entry, exceptions to the rules, like we cannot compete with Miss Arkansas. But an exception has been made. I have designed a rough draft of our float, ready to submit when the selections are open. Timing it to get in this is everything. It's coming up. Of course, the float has to be an Irish theme. Once the ad hoc committee is formed, we will be open to ideas as long as they are in compliance with their rules, don't cost anything, and there is manpower to pull it off. There is no budget for this. Therefore, I have designed a float in which we will use most things that all of us already have, such as if we could borrow the little yard flags for one day, and things like that, a piece of wire, a ribbon, something for identification of the flowers that we will be, like, a sash, or if you want to wear that, anything, things that you have at home. I'll be letting you know what we need for the float. Okay, we already have an 8x5 trailer at the extension office. We have Luke O'Duffy ready to use his Jeep to pull the float. We have the signage for our float that Claudette has already made sure that we have.
Would that be advertising the plant sale?
Yes, it's all to advertise the plant sale. Every bit of it. Let's see. I have researched, we have the signage, and we ourselves will be the flowers and the veggies that are native to Ireland. I have researched the plants and made a non-comprehensive list, but a list. Many of them are abundant here in Arkansas also, including potatoes, shamrocks, red clover, helleborus, etc. Everyone who wants can participate in various ways and claim hours for this project. For instance, wrapping seeds in coffee filters, fabric, or tulle to be thrown into the crowd as they, some throw candy or beads. We're going to throw seeds. That was one of the exceptions. This will be good for people who need hours or have some physical issues with their projects. Hours can be counted under publicity. Much can be done at home during the slower gardening season, after the fair, and up through March 2024. There are only so many slots to ride and walk alongside the parade route. So names will go in a hat, which is the only fair way to do it. They'll be drawn in January, so you'll have time to come up with your idea. Everybody has to be in costume. There are rules on what we can wear, and that information is coming later. Everyone in the parade is representing Garland County Master Gardeners. This is going to be really, really fun, and no stress activity about the time when we all really need it. What I need now are about 10 people to help me organize who's doing what and organize the gathering up of the decorations. For the next few meetings, I will put a sign-up sheet for anyone that wants to sign up for this ad hoc committee. But again, everybody is welcome to do something. That's it.
Announcements. The Sew and Teal table. I hope you've had a chance to go and see. They did the thing on the butterflies, and there is a drawing. So if you went over and looked and put your name in the hat, you may be the winner of the basket that they created. There we go. June Ann Green. Lastly, the conference in Russellville, June 8th through the 10th. It just says here that you can register, but the registration is closed now, so I hope you all got in. But it is June 8th through the 10th in Russellville. So our next meeting is our May garden tour, so we won't be here. I hope each of you got the handout with the map QR code on it, so you will see you there. So that's it. We're adjourned.